If you've ever doubted your worth as a man, this video will shock you. These 8 signs will open your eyes to the truth. You might be far more attractive than you think. Stay till the end. The last one will change how you see yourself forever. Comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights. You see, one of the biggest misconceptions about attractiveness is that it begins and ends with what you see in the mirror. Most men have been conditioned to believe that looking good, dressing well, or hitting the gym automatically makes them desirable. And while presentation matters, that's only a small piece of the puzzle. Real attractiveness begins with something far deeper, your energy. The kind of energy that walks into a room before you do, that makes people turn their heads without even knowing why. When I talk about energy, I'm not referring to something mystical or abstract. I'm talking about the psychological and emotional frequency you project into the world. It's how you move, how you hold yourself, how you speak, and most importantly, how you feel about yourself when no one's watching. That silent confidence, rooted not in arrogance, but in self-respect, is magnetic. People are drawn to it because it signals safety, strength, and authenticity. And authenticity in today's world is rare. Think about it. When you meet someone who's genuinely comfortable in their own skin, it immediately changes the energy in the room. They don't have to talk loudly or dominate the conversation. They simply exist with presence. That's because self-assurance communicates something primal. It tells others, I know who I am, and I don't need your approval to validate that. And ironically, the moment you stop seeking validation is when you start attracting it effortlessly. Most men today chase validation because they think that's how attraction works. They text too much, try too hard, or overcompensate with material things. But what they fail to realize is that trying too hard communicates lack. It says, I don't believe I'm enough unless I prove it to you. And the human mind is wired to sense that. Women especially can feel the difference between confidence and neediness from a mile away. You can't fake relaxed certainty. It comes from the inside out. So where does that certainty come from? It comes from alignment. When your words, your actions, and your values move in the same direction, your energy becomes congruent. You stop living to impress and start living with integrity. You know what you stand for, what you will and won't tolerate, and what kind of energy you want around you. This internal clarity transforms the way you interact with others. You walk differently. You speak with more intention. You stop filling silence with noise because your presence is enough. Now, here's the interesting part. When you truly understand that energy shapes attraction, your focus shifts. You stop obsessing over external appearance and start refining your inner state. You begin asking, what am I communicating when I walk into a room? Your posture, your eye contact, your tone, these are all signals. Are they saying you're grounded and secure or nervous and uncertain? Every human interaction is a subtle exchange of signals, and the man who is self-aware enough to master that dynamic becomes irresistibly attractive without even trying. Psychologically, people are drawn to certainty because it creates a sense of emotional safety. When you project calm confidence, others unconsciously feel they can relax around you. They trust you. They admire you. And this isn't about dominance or control. It's about emotional leadership. It's about saying through your energy, I'm not here to prove anything. I'm here because I belong. That's the quiet power of true attractiveness. But here's where most men sabotage themselves. They confuse external validation with internal worth. They measure their attractiveness based on how many compliments they get or how much attention they receive. The truth is, external attention is temporary. It fades as quickly as it comes. Internal confidence, on the other hand, is permanent because it's built on a foundation of self-respect. When you operate from self-respect, you no longer chase acceptance. You choose connection. You choose peace over performance. That shift from chasing to choosing is everything. Because when you know your value, you stop negotiating it. You don't tolerate disrespect. You don't cling to people who drain your energy. And you don't dilute your presence to fit in. You understand that being attractive isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about being magnetic to the right ones. The ones who see your light, not just your looks. And let's not ignore the philosophical side of this. True attractiveness is a reflection of harmony between the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. It's a state of being where your outer world mirrors your inner peace. When your self-worth is intact, you move through life with a sense of quiet authority. You don't need to compete because you're not comparing. You're simply being. And that being, That calm, confident awareness is what makes others want to be around you. Every truly attractive man understands this. He doesn't chase attention, he attracts energy. He doesn't beg for love, he becomes love. And that starts with understanding that your greatest asset isn't your appearance, it's your aura, your vibration, your presence. You can dress in simple clothes, drive an ordinary car, and still command extraordinary attention if your inner world radiates self-belief. So if you've ever felt invisible or overlooked, maybe it's not because you're not attractive, it's because you haven't fully stepped into your own energy yet. The moment you stop seeking permission to be seen, the world begins to notice you differently. Attraction isn't something you find outside yourself, it's something you awaken within. Remember this: true attractiveness isn't loud, it's not boastful, and it doesn't demand attention. It commands it quietly, naturally, and powerfully. The man who knows his worth doesn't need to shout it. His presence speaks for him. Because when your energy is right, everything else falls into place. Purpose. It's one of those words people throw around so casually that it almost loses its meaning. But the truth is, purpose is the invisible current that shapes your entire presence as a man. It gives structure to your energy, direction to your days, and depth to your character. And whether you realize it or not, women, and people in general, can sense when a man is driven by something larger than himself. They can feel when you're not drifting aimlessly, but moving with quiet conviction towards something that matters. A man with purpose doesn't need to announce it. It shows in how he carries himself, in the discipline woven into his routine, in the calm focus behind his eyes. You can tell when a man is building something, even if he doesn't talk about it. There's a stillness, a steadiness that separates him from the crowd. And that steadiness is magnetic. It says, I know where I'm going, and I'm not afraid to get there alone if I have to. That's the kind of energy that draws people in, not the loud, performative confidence, but the quiet, unshakable kind. You see, the world is full of men who look confident but lack direction. They have the appearance of strength, but none of its substance. They move from one distraction to another, hoping that success, validation, or pleasure will fill the void. But there's a hollowness in a life without a sense of purpose. And that hollowness can't be covered by designer clothes, money, or charm. Because people can feel when your energy has no anchor. Having purpose doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It doesn't mean you're rich or successful or standing on some grand stage. It simply means you wake up with intention. You have something that drives you, something that makes you get up even on the days when no one's watching, no one's clapping, and no one's affirming you. That consistency, that silent commitment becomes part of your aura. It's what turns a regular man into a leader, a protector, a man others trust instinctively. Psychologically speaking, purpose gives men emotional stability. When your mind is anchored to a goal or a calling, you're less likely to crumble under pressure. You're not easily shaken by rejection or uncertainty because your sense of identity isn't tied to temporary outcomes. It's tied to the mission. That kind of resilience is deeply attractive because it signals inner strength. Women sense it immediately. They know when they're in the presence of a man who doesn't panic when life tests him, a man who can hold himself together when others fall apart. Purpose transforms how you respond to failure too. The average man sees failure as the end. A man of purpose sees it as information. He understands that setbacks are part of the process, not proof that he's unworthy, and that mindset creates a psychological edge that people respect, even admire. Because nothing is more compelling than watching someone stay disciplined and determined, even when things get hard. But here's the deeper truth. Purpose doesn't just make you more attractive to others, it makes you more attractive to yourself. When you're aligned with what truly matters to you, your self-esteem rises naturally. You start carrying yourself differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance. You stop comparing yourself to others because you're too busy building your own path. That inner alignment creates peace, and peace is powerful. There's something undeniably magnetic about a man who moves through life without rushing, without competing, but with unwavering focus. He's not easily distracted because he's already decided what deserves his attention. He's not begging for love because he's already filled his life with purpose. And that's the paradox. When you stop chasing attention and start chasing purpose, attention begins chasing you. Philosophically, purpose gives meaning to your existence. Without it, life feels random and shallow. With it, even struggle becomes sacred. You begin to see challenges as opportunities to sharpen your character. Every late night, every disappointment, every quiet victory becomes part of your evolution. And that evolution radiates through your energy. People can feel that you're not pretending, you're becoming. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, but I don't know what my purpose is, don't panic. Purpose doesn't always appear as a lightning bolt. It often starts as a whisper. It's found in the things that make you come alive, the problems you feel called to solve, the skills you can't stop improving. Sometimes purpose is hidden in consistency, doing small things with great care until they build into something greater. You don't have to find it overnight. You just have to keep moving with intention. When you live with purpose, your energy changes. You stop reacting emotionally to every minor inconvenience. You stop seeking shortcuts and start respecting the process. You carry a quiet discipline that commands respect, and that's when you become truly unshakable. Because a man who's connected to his purpose doesn't need to prove his worth. He embodies it. And here's the thing most men overlook: women don't fall in love with your potential. They fall in love with your direction. They're drawn to men who are going somewhere, not men who are waiting for something to happen. When you have purpose, you naturally take the lead in your own life. You stop drifting and start deciding. That decisiveness creates emotional gravity. It pulls people toward you. So when you focus on your purpose, you're not just building a career or chasing a dream. You're building your masculine essence. You're creating a life that commands respect, not demands it. And that is the foundation of real attractiveness. Because at the end of the day, your purpose isn't just what you do. It's who you become while doing it. Stay committed to that path. Because the man who lives with purpose never has to chase attraction. It chases him. Emotional groundedness is one of the rarest and most underrated traits in men today. We live in a world that constantly tests your emotions, your patience, your pride, your sense of control. Every day something or someone will try to pull you off balance. And in that chaos, the man who remains centered, who stays calm, logical, and in control of himself immediately stands out. That's real power. Because while most men react, the emotionally grounded man responds. He's not moved by noise, he's guided by clarity. This kind of emotional balance doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend to be cold. It means you've mastered the ability to feel deeply without letting those feelings dictate your actions. You can experience anger, sadness, or disappointment, but you don't drown in them. You process, you reflect, and you act from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. That level of composure is incredibly attractive because it signals strength, the kind of strength people can lean on when things get tough. Think about it: when everything goes wrong, most people panic. But the man who stays composed becomes a source of stability. His calm energy acts like gravity. It draws people in. Women especially are drawn to that. It's not about dominance or control. It's about emotional safety. A grounded man gives off the sense that no matter what happens, he won't crumble. He won't lash out, withdraw, or lose himself in chaos. And that kind of emotional reliability is magnetic. Psychologically, this comes from something called self-regulation, the ability to manage your emotional responses instead of letting them manage you. It's a sign of maturity, self-awareness, and inner peace. You know who you are, and you don't let external circumstances define you. People who can regulate their emotions communicate strength without saying a word. They lead by presence, not by pressure. And here's the interesting thing: emotional control isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's shaped through adversity, through pain, through learning how to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. Every time you resist the urge to react out of ego, you strengthen your emotional muscles. Every time you choose reflection over reaction, you grow. That's what makes grounded men so rare. They've earned their calm through storms. In relationships, this quality is everything. Emotional maturity creates trust. A woman can relax when she knows she's with a man who won't spiral or shut down every time something feels uncomfortable. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about communicating, listening, and staying centered even when emotions run high. Because real strength isn't loud. It's steady. It's knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when to walk away. But emotional groundedness doesn't just affect your relationships, it transforms your entire life. When you control your emotions, you control your energy. And when you control your energy, you control your outcomes. You stop wasting time reacting to every little thing. You stop giving your power away to people and situations that don't deserve it. Instead, you start directing your focus toward what you can actually influence. That's where real growth happens. Philosophically, being emotionally grounded means being rooted in yourself, anchored in something deeper than mood or circumstance. It means your peace isn't fragile. You're not dependent on validation, approval, or the behavior of others to feel okay. You carry your calm within you. And when you reach that state, you become untouchable. People may try to provoke you, disappoint you, or test you, but nothing penetrates that inner stillness. It's not indifference, it's mastery. Most men never reach this level because they confuse emotional expression with weakness. They've been told that showing vulnerability makes them soft, so they suppress everything until it explodes. But the truth is, only the strongest men can be vulnerable without losing control. Only a man who has faced his emotions and learned to manage them can express them honestly. Emotional control isn't the absence of feeling. It's the art of feeling without falling apart. When you become emotionally grounded, you stop living reactively. You stop being at the mercy of your environment. You start choosing your emotional state. That doesn't mean you'll never feel anger or sadness. It means those emotions won't define your identity. You learn to acknowledge them, understand them, and then let them pass. And every time you do that, you reclaim your power. The irony is, the calmer you become, the stronger your impact. People listen to you differently when you speak from a grounded place. Your words carry weight because they come from stability, not insecurity. Your decisions become more effective because they're not clouded by emotion. Your relationships become more peaceful because you've learned that emotional control isn't about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. That's what makes emotional maturity so attractive. It signals that you're not just physically strong or mentally sharp, you're emotionally intelligent. And that's what women truly crave. They don't want a man who never feels. They want a man who feels deeply but remains steady through it all. They want someone whose presence calms the storm instead of adding to it. So, if you want to become more attractive, not just to women, but to the world, start mastering your emotions. Learn to pause before you react. Learn to listen before you respond. Learn to breathe before you speak. Because every moment of calmness you choose adds to your power. And that power doesn't shout, it resonates. Remember this: being emotionally grounded doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being powerful enough to stay composed when everything else is falling apart. That kind of energy is rare. That kind of man is unforgettable. Because the man who can lead his emotions can lead his life. And that's what makes him truly magnetic.